Thank each and every one of you for joining us. Today I'm joined with friends, but also with partners. We're wanting to do something special. What we're wanting to do is make sure that children in our community have new coats. Sounds pretty simple, keep a kid warm, but it's really so much more than that. You provide warmth, but you also provide hope, a level of dignity, and a showing of compassion. When I first started as a youth mentor a long time ago, I realized that it wasn't really just the things you did with the young people. It was that interaction, but they learned so much more by what we do than what we say. And for someone that they don't know, and sometimes they do, the counselor, whoever it is, to take a kid who doesn't have some of the nice things that the other kids have, and they give them the ability to be proud. They give them a gesture. They give them a warm coat. It helps them fit in. It helps them feel like the other kids, and it helps them get to school warm. So what a great, great purpose. I was a little touched this morning. I walked in. I was smiling ear to ear. When I was a youth mentor, one of the kids that I had helped, we used to buy things for a little bit. Now, maybe I think it might have been against the rules, but I felt like they needed that. They needed that kind of that, not really so much as the material things. They needed to know somebody cared about them. Today, that young man gave me 3 coats for this event. And if that don't tell you something, my daughter Ava, most of you talked to her last year, and she was up and she gave a little speech, and she was talking. She had to go to school this morning. But she's been kind of the push behind this. It was with this young man, we were buying things. I was really proud. I was like, well, he gets to feel like dignity. He gets to feel good. And she looked at me and said, Daddy, but what about all the other kids? And he said, you're right. What about all the other kids? What can we do to make something better? And so it started off, and several people up here that we just did it on our own. We worked. I'm outside the council. I have friends with me today that we purchased coats, and we got a few done. Last year, the UAW was just super helpful, and they've been great partners, and they got together. This year, you look and get more and more people every year. Shirley's Way has been absolutely incredible. Mike Mulrooney here is our chief cancer fighter. Where's he at behind me? And Charlie Bashan behind me with Cahills has hosted the Queen of Hearts contest every single week on Mondays. And what they did on several weeks is they said, you're here to help raise money for a cause, but when you come with a coat. Come with a new coat for this coat drive. And I'll tell you, the people of Southwest Jefferson County, they came out in droves, whether it was canned goods, whether it was coats they gave to other people. And Vince Jarbo, who is, I know, so proud to be president of the Southwest Dream Team, was up here with me, is there and just talks about the giving of the community. Our Major Hash is up here with us too. I'm so glad to have him in the 3rd Division. And he can tell you that we keep talking about how do we combat crime? How do we make a difference in the future? How do we do these things? Well, it's the early touches. It's a child who has lost hope, is in a very vulnerable position to do some bad things. If you can show through the JCPS, through the schools, through those contacts, if you can show that child a level of compassion, if you can show them that someone cares about them, whether or not all the other things in his life that may be stacked up against him or her, these coats, this little act of compassion can make a difference. And we've talked about that too, and we try to do that through different events and things to show there's people out there that care about them. And I think that it'll continue to grow. I'm hoping with the news media here, in the event that someone sees this and they're inspired and they say, you know what, I want to make sure that I can get a new coat to a kid in need. Call my office. It's 574-1125, or drop it down here at Metro Hall. We'd be happy to take it. We're going to make sure we get it with the counselors. We're joined up here at the kids' closet. There's always needs at JCPS, and we're going to help. You're helping your neighbor in the most direct way you can. You're providing them clothing. I'm going to start. I don't want to miss anybody. I touched on Shirley's Way, Mike Mulrooney, and all the great things we do in our community. In Cahills, Charlie Bashan behind me. Louisville High Tech Flooring, Mr. Chad O'Neill. Chad helped with me before. It wasn't even a coat drive. It was just buying some coats. And I appreciate there. And Chic Salon, I think he takes credit for it, but his wife does a lot of it. And then obviously the 3rd Division Police, we're so proud of them, and Major Josh Hash. Woody's Barbershop, they got us some coats. Mueller Transportation, they've always helped out and been just great partners, done that. And Lanehart Plumbing, Kim Lanehart, just great partners in this community and have done well. And then obviously with this, Mr. Jarbo, Vince Jarbo has just been a great community partner in so many ways and inspires other people to give. With that, I want to not only recognize our JCPS Superintendent, Dr. Marty Polio, but I'd like him to take the mic and say a few things. He's done a tremendous job with this. And outside of just his basic job duties, he goes above beyond and to do some of those goals that we are about trying to bring together as one community and really make sure he's connecting with the kids. And before he was the superintendent, he was my principal at a school in my district. He earned my respect because of his willingness to go above and beyond. And it was outside the classroom, making sure that he had those contacts with kids, that he went out and some of the kids would leave school and they want to be truant, violate some rules. Marty wanted to talk to them directly. He wanted to have that impact on them and let them know that it was important to him. I said, what better man to be a superintendent of schools? And I'd like to have Dr. Polio, please go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, David. Thanks, guests, for being here with us today. What an incredible thing this is for us today, to be able to just give the simple gesture of giving a child a coat and how much that means to our children. And so often when in JCPS, we talk about, and rightfully so, the instruction that kids are getting in programs and initiatives throughout schools and all the things that we can do better that sometimes we forget about the simple wraparound services that kids need in order to be successful. And so when we talk about wraparound services often, which you've heard me talk about recently, we talk about mental health counseling, we talk about social support services, we talk about medical services. But sometimes we forget about something as simple as a child getting a meal or a child being warm and getting a coat. And that can be the difference between a child going to school and not going to school. And so we've had a real strong focus on making sure that we dramatically increase attendance in JCPS. We get kids to school, and we provide all those things that a child needs in order to get to school. So we have a lot of children in our community who need supports all around, but need supports with food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, but also just need the gesture of having a coat so that they can get to school on cold days. And that is so important. My daughter leaves the house every morning about 6:45 to catch the bus, and this morning she's standing out in cold weather. We are fortunate enough, obviously, to be able to provide her with the coat and gloves and hat and those things that a student needs in order to wait for the bus. But I often imagine what it must be like for a child who doesn't have that. And that can impact whether they get to school or not. So this is such an important movement and such an important thing for our kids that we are able to identify children who need coats, and we are able to give them not only a coat, but a nice quality coat that looks good for them, and that's important for our children. So Councilman Yates, I can't say enough how important this is. I'm happy to be a part of it, and we thank you for that work. We thank our partners, specifically Shirley's Way, and I was excited to be at Khalil's earlier in the fall to see the festivities around the coat collection and this work. And it's just so impactful for our students, and I can't thank all of those that are helping out with this enough, because it really means a lot, and it is what our children need to make sure they get to school and that they are successful at school. So thank you for all your work. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Thank you. And as Dr. Polio is speaking, I'm thinking this doesn't work without the teachers too, because this isn't just giving coats to kids. This is giving coats to kids that have been identified by the counselors and the teachers of being in need. And a lot of times you have with charity organizations and things we participate into it, there's a saying that you can't help the needy without the interference of the greedy. And what we try to do is we want to make sure that these coats do get to those in need. And we thank the teachers for taking the time to come down here. And I look over to my right from Noel Middle School, and there's so many other people who have contacted our office working with us, telling us sizes and what they need and who they're concerned about. And you can't underestimate how many of them will go on their own. They take their own dime. They go out and they make ends meet. They take care of these kids on their own. And so really, really proud that we're able to partner to try to help that, make that better impact. Someone who knows a lot about an impact in the community behind me is Mike Maroney with Shirley's Way, and he's going to take a couple words. And before he does, I just want to let him know how grateful I am for all the work that he's done to help our brothers and sisters in the community.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us here. If you don't know about Shirley's Way, we're actually a cancer charity, but we got involved in doing other things in the community this year. And there's a saying, and I'll probably butcher it, but the saying is, it's a great feeling to help somebody who can never repay you. And that's what we do. We help cancer patients. But Khalil and I started in Southwest Jefferson County a game called Queen of Hearts. And it's really going pretty well. We're raising a lot of money. And we had such a captive giving audience, we said, what if we offer some door prizes one day and start bringing in canned goods and help the ministries? So we filled the community ministries pantry with canned goods over the past 30 weeks. And thought David, or Councilman Yates, brought up, what about coats? So we started asking people to bring in new coats, and I don't know how many new coats have been brought in from the people that go to the Queen of Hearts every Monday night. So we started in bringing in new coats. Last week we brought in toys, and it's just a really captive, amazing audience that come here every Monday night to participate in the game, but they bring the things that we ask them to. So again, canned goods, new coats, and it's overwhelming to see all the things that come in those doors. So thank you, Councilman Yates, and thank you, Khalil, for allowing us to have this game there. It's a blast, it's a good time, and we really enjoyed participating in the new coat draft. Thank you, sir.
Next to speak, and I know it can be confusing because some of us call him Gil. I call him Charlie because that's how I knew him growing up. We'll come up with a new nickname before this is all over. But Charlie, if you want to take the mic.
Thank you, David. I'm Khalil Bashan, and I own Khalil's on Dixie Highway. And first of all, I want to thank Mike Maroney for bringing this game to me and allowing us to host it. Thank you for David and Marty and Vince and everybody behind me here. The Queen of Hearts has, as Mike said, has grown to, we are now a community event. And every Monday at Khalil's, we host this event of Queen of Hearts. And we've filled the Southwest Ministries food pantry up. We've created our own backup pantry for the ministries. We've helped a high school last week with all the canned goods that were donated. We donated all the canned goods back to them and helped. Their goal is to feed 300 families this year in a high school. Our goal at Khalil's is to help people that need it, that aren't needing anything in return. And my goal personally is to be able to help someone that doesn't need something, where I don't need anything in return. If I can do that, and I'm taking care of the people in my neighborhood and my community, I feel good at night. I can sleep knowing that I did something that mattered. And that's what I try to instill in my team and in my family. I have 2 little boys and one on the way. And if I can set that foundation where they can learn to help and grow and take care of people, then I feel like my job is done.
Charlie's correct that we're kind of the beneficiaries. When you give, you get so much in return, and the people watching, and it's the little ones watching. So even the kids who may not get the coat, the kids who may not, whether it's your children or the people in the community or the other ones, that act of compassion, that is an example to be set and hopefully be followed. And if it's done, if each child that is helped in some way is just a little bit better and helps that community, things can only get better. And I said that this can't be possible without the assistance of JCPS and all the teachers and help. And I'd like to invite Justin Willis to please say a couple words. Mr. Willis.
Thank you very much, Dave. My name is Justin Willis, and I work for JCPS. I work at the Clothing Assistance Program. And I came here last year at the invitation of David, and with the great idea that his daughter Ava had to collect coats. Coats went back directly to schools, and there were so many coats that there were extra coats. We put those in a van, and we took those to the Clothing Assistance Program. And throughout the rest of the winter, we were able to provide children and their families, all JCPS connected, with new coats and hats and scarves, thanks to this generosity and the generosity of all these wonderful partners. We have served more than 4,200 students since the start of the school year with uniforms and with clothing. We've had shopping opportunities for 1,800 families. We've given out 2,000 pairs of new shoes. And I can tell you, seeing it every day when families come in with appointments and need service, I look at this beautiful, colorful display when I walk in, and I don't see empty coats draped over the furniture. I see children that we can serve and moms and dads that we can get coats on. And I can guarantee you, every one of these coats that you see will go to a JCPS student and their family that comes to us through appointments and through recommendations of family resource and youth services centers like John and others who are in schools and know the families better than anyone. They know who needs help. They know who's had a fire over the weekend. They know who's had some flood damage when it rains too much in March, and they send them to us. And thank you to this partnership, we can get them not only gently used clothes, but brand new clothes. So thank you so much, and I just wanted to thank all the partners who helped make this possible. Thanks. Thank you.
Before we break up, I'd like to give the opportunity to any of the businesses, the individuals who've done this, who's donated, if they would like to say a couple words. Sometimes that couple seconds on the mic will inspire somebody else, and that's really what it's about. While we make an impact, it's not enough. We got to continue to build on that, and we'll continue to do so. And right now, with Christmas approaching, there's a lot of giving hearts, and people are wanting to give back. But even after Christmas is over and coming the new year, that need still hasn't gone. So please don't hesitate to contact my office in the event you want to help. And the other thing, a lot of times social media and individuals, you'll get some pretty nasty remarks. And what I wanted to let everybody know, that this is completely charity driven. There's no tax dollars being used to do this. This is given by the generosity and love of this community. And I think by that showing of compassion and love to these children, it may make just a difference in our future. And if you'd like to make a difference in the future, if you'd like to make a difference in a young person's life, think about donating a coat. I can bring it down to my office. It may make a bigger difference than you'd ever imagine, and not only to that child, but to you. I'd like to invite the JCPS representatives to come forward, and we'll start picking up these coats, and we'll get those out to the children in need. And again, I just want to say thank you. I am so humbled, but excited and happy, and I think this is going to be something that will continue to grow in the future. We'll work together, and we're going to make a positive impact for the kids in our community with these great partners behind me.